Hello, I'm very excited to represent you and to lead the show of the first podcast of Caught in Emotion. My first guest is our co-host Kubrat Ivanov, more known in Ireland as Kubi. Today's topic is how the children of immigrants feeling in the country they grow up. And I think this topic will be interesting for many people like Kubi, who region is from somewhere else, but they grow up in the country that feels maybe closer more to them than the country of their parents. So hello Kubi,
Hello.
it's very welcome in our first podcast. I'm really exciting, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. I hope they won't be too difficult. How do you feel? How are you today?
I feel great. It's a great pleasure to be here and to be able to kick off the podcast and me being the first guest. It's a great honor. And I'm very excited what you will be asking me today.
It's a pleasure for me. So the first question is, Kubi, and this I think very deep and interesting and wide topic. How do you feel? As knowing that your parents are Bulgarian and you grew up in Ireland, are you feeling Irish or Bulgarian?
I feel Irish. I've grown up in Ireland my whole life. I've studied in Irish schools and I've communicated. All my friends, most of them are Irish. And I just naturally just been inducted and I've grown up in this culture and I feel Irish. You asked me where I'm from and we've just met on the street. I'm going to tell you I'm Irish because that's just how I feel. Maybe when I go back to Bulgaria, even when I meet up with some of my friends that are my age or a little bit older, it's this miscommunication. It's just the differences in culture that I feel. They have just different understanding, different type of thinking, and I can feel the difference. And I don't feel at home when I'm in Bulgaria. It's a great place to visit, obviously. My grandparents, I have an auntie there, I have a grandmother in the capital also. But where I feel most comfortable and where my heart is, it's definitely Ireland.
Okay. So do you think that the approach of the children your age or teenagers in your age in Bulgaria, approach to different problems, approach to life in general, the way of thinking is different than yours?
Oh, 100%. Like, even when I'd be communicating to my grandparents and they'd be stressing about a situation or they'd be viewing it in their own perspective, I've noticed that in Ireland, naturally they're a little more laid back. They kind of see it as, well, if it's not a do or die situation, why is there that emphasis on stressing out, which I think is great. While over in Bulgaria, as I've just seen and I've noticed you and even, Krasia, my mother, have this sort of feeling, this just natural urge to overstress in situations where you wouldn't usually stress. If an Irish person was in it, they'd just say, it is what it is and we'll continue on and going. And even when I see it in this situation in those eyes, and I look at you, I'd even sometimes go over to you and say, hey, why worry? It's not that serious. And sometimes you even said it yourself that I'm correct. But in life, I believe that the best thing that you can do is when you've said you're going to do something and you want to do something to yourself and work on yourself, it's about being disciplined. So
that's a different thing.
That's a totally different thing, but there's this misconception that sometimes it's just some people are more laid back and they just go, that'll happen, this will happen, and they just go with the flow. Now, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that just the understanding of a situation is different, and that in Ireland it's just much less stressful.
So do you think that the Bulgarian people overthink about tomorrow? Then the Irish people enjoy the moment, how it's Horatius say, carpe diem. They enjoy the moment and don't spoil it with worries about tomorrow.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm even jealous sometimes of some of my Irish friends when exam week is coming up and they're like, yeah, well, I've studied, but today I'm gonna take a day off. I might go to the cinema. I might go out with friends. And, you know, I feel Irish, but the blood flowing in me is Bulgarian, and that factor always kicks in where...
Maybe the genes
Yeah.
stops a bit sometimes.
Exactly, and I'm like, I can't do that. When I'm locked in on something and it's going to affect me, I sometimes even myself, I find it difficult to just say, it's alright, it'll be grand, but no, that absolutely, yeah.
And also a different aspect as well of being a child growing up in, you can say your country, because Ireland is your country, as you said, but with the parents from a different country, and especially this aspect having a different, especially your name, and I'm sure it's a lot of children having a name that is not typical for the country they're living in, and your name is, let's put it that way, a bit unusual for Ireland. So, Tirko Brat, but they call you Kubi. Did you have any problems having that name with some people, children or teenagers, or some funding situation brought this name to you?
Well, it's kind of just a bit of everything. Now, the creation of the name Kubi that you created was to simplify my original name, Kubrat, which a lot of people, just in general,
Make it easier. Because,
exactly.
Because your name, I heard when they try to say your full name, I mean, the versions of your name are maybe more version of anybody in the history of human being.
Yeah.
You how many names do you have? What is in your head now coming up?
Well,
Like Qbert.
Yeah, that's exactly the one, especially in school. A few people, even in the year above and below me, they mispronounced the name, but once they found out how you'd say my name, they just kind of stuck with it and called me Qbert when it's Kubrat, and it's an ongoing joke that just keeps on giving. And sometimes, you would have some douchebags, that underline, you're considering yourself Irish, but look at your name, it's a foreign name. But that's always going to happen. It's natural. But if
Do you not think it's more of the personality than we can't really put a stigma on the whole Irish nation? It's just about it's up to the person that treating you that way. Because I have seen many people who doesn't bother them your name, and Irish people, and they really respect you as much as if you had an Irish name. Do you not think it's up to the person? Maybe them intelligent capacity, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely up to the person, as you said, because I've even friends my age, or when I go to train, it's down to the person if they see me Irish. Like when I go out with my friends, and they say, obviously I don't look like an Irishman, but if I'm getting introduced to a new friend group, they'd always say he's Irish, or especially where I go to train, they acknowledge me as an Irish person because they see that I want to be Irish, I feel Irish. Now, obviously, there are differences in the name, and the background, and...
Now, where do you train, Kubi?
Oh, well, I train in... It's just...
Where is the place you train?
The place is Dunleary, but the club is phenomenal. The club name is Dunleary Martial Arts Legends. So the people there are always so nice, always giving, always enthusiastic to teach you something new. And honestly, after quitting football because of just the stress that it was causing towards me, it was having more of a negative impact on me rather than the positive one, where you think you go to training, you'd come back with a smile on your face. I'd reached a point where football was stressing me out more than I was relaxing. So after deciding to take a break and try out something very unusual, mixed martial arts, I couldn't be
Here is the coming natural question, because a lot of people who never train martial arts, they think that the people there who train the martial arts, MMA or kickboxing, boxing, do you think that they think that people who train, Sorry, we had a slight disruption by my daughter, so we continue anyway. So my question was, because a lot of people, when you say martial arts or kickboxing or boxing or taekwondo, they think that the people who train these sports are vicious monsters who just go there to beat each other. And as I have the experience as well, 5 years training it, actually it's quite opposite. People are extremely nice. I relax most of the time, and I find it very enjoyable. And not only that you physically build your strength, but also for your mental health is great. And I make a lot of friends, and I think most of them have even gentle souls.
Yeah.
Do you share these thoughts of mine?
Yeah, well, always when you think of such contact-to-contact sports, you'd always think of it as they always have this etiquette of them being, you're going in to fight because that's the only thing that you love doing, and it's, it's even funny because nowadays you've had MMA fighters, professional ones that have fought at the highest level, like UFC for an example, leave and get their doctorate degree or go and pursue another career, but no, especially at amateur level when you're not there and you're not fighting for the money, a lot of people are rather quite intimidated before they set foot in the gym. Now, obviously, we can't speak for every gym that's out there. I'm sure that there are plenty of douchebags. But in the broad prospect, absolutely. People think that it's just this intimidating sport.
Yeah.
It's very scary. And once they see that you're somebody new there, they're going to try and hit you as hard as possible. Just try and wipe the floor with you. But no, it's, as you said, exactly the opposite. As you get taught new techniques, everybody's so helpful. And even right now, it sounds very logical when you say it, but they'll be more gentle to you rather than other people that have been training because they know more. Now, even though that sounds logical, people still disregard that and they instantly think, oh, but it's fighting. It's the worst thing ever that can happen. No, I think that martial arts is great for every person to know.
Well, we have another program and time for one topic, especially we will do one podcast about that. But let's go back to our main topic. Did it have any impact in your daily life that, or time to time, that your parents are from foreign origin?
Impact, kind of. So, there won't be any significant impact, but when we'd speak at home and I have a friend over, obviously they don't know the context of what we're speaking, and sometimes I've had friends that think that we're fighting, that we're having a verbal fight or that I'm getting shouted at, but it's just the way our language sounds. And if you don't know, we're from Bulgaria, so obviously it's a very different language, so it's not close to you.
Maybe sound a bit abrupt. Like when you're saying hello, how are you? Maybe it sounds like come here, I slap you, but it's not actually what's the meaning, what it really sounds to some people. Do you ever pay attention to, and does it have some impact or thoughts about it, comparing the weather in Bulgaria or Ireland? Do you ever compare the weather in Bulgaria?
Well, obviously there's huge weather differences, as Ireland is kind of usually just flat out same type of weather between cold gusts of rain, icy. But then we've been seeing throughout the past few years with global climate change, obviously we see that it's getting warmer throughout the summer. But the main difference would be that when in Bulgaria it's warm, it's really warm. In some parts it reaches 40 degrees. It's really warm throughout the summer. And then when it reaches the winter, it's really cold.
And which weather would you prefer, the Irish weather or Bulgarian weather? All around the year. I mean, not only just for the summer. Say, if you pick up the best days in Bulgaria, the best days in Ireland, of course you say Ireland or Bulgaria. But generally speaking, and the all year round weather, would you rather prefer the Irish weather or Bulgarian weather? Extremely cold in the winter, extremely warm in Bulgaria in the summer, than the Irish weather that is constantly more or less all over the year, around the year the same.
Well, I'd probably go with the Bulgarian weather, even though I'm very well acclimated to the Irish weather. Obviously, I've grown up here. It just, I feel like, yeah, you get a bit of too much of each thing, but I like that there's a difference in each season. While in Ireland, it's just kind of the same, so you kind of just have the 2 or 3 warm weeks throughout the summer. Well, warm, I mean, slightly warmer than before. But I like in Bulgaria how you always have snow when it's meant to be snowing, and when it's meant to be sunny over the summer, it's really warm. So
maybe it will sound funny to you and to a lot of our viewers and listeners, but to be honest with you, I prefer the Irish weather. I tell you why. Because my body adapts to this weather, and at the extreme temperature of 40 degrees, it's a bit too much for me. Once you're over 30, unless you're in the Black Sea, in the coast, and swimming, well, I can't swim, but in the sea and right beside the breeze. And the coldness. Do you find the coldness different in Bulgaria in the winter than here? Do you not find that in Bulgaria it's kind of a more dry cold, and here it's more damp cold because we're right beside the sea and the weather obviously is different?
yeah, 100% sure. Even when you're on your phone and you look at the temperature, the climate, it might say 10 degrees, and then below it there's the feature where it says feels like -2. That's because of the other factors, because of how damp the air is, the wind, all of that. While in Bulgaria, it's kind of, there wouldn't be such a big difference. I would just say maybe 10 degrees and it feels like 8. While in Ireland, there's this huge difference between the actual warmth and before the other factors kick in. While in Bulgaria, it's kind of just the set climate. You won't have...
Yeah, because here you can be 5 degrees but feel like it's -5.
Exactly.
But going back again, being a child of parents with foreign origin, did you ever, you're almost 16 years of age, did you ever had to fight to stand for yourself because you were slang or ridicule with the origin of your parents and your name? Do you ever have to fight or verbal or?
About my parents specifically, no. Obviously, when I've had obviously my life here, it's my stay. I've had a few racist encounters, but they're those type of people. You shouldn't
meet
really
them everywhere. Anyway.
Those type of people, you meet them anywhere, and I think the best thing is to just let them walk past you. Just try and get out
your
the
advice to
scenario.
the children in your shoes, children and teenagers like you who grow up not only in Ireland, in the United States, in different countries, West of Europe mainly, Australia. Is that will be your advice? Maybe the main advice? Just ignore it.
Well, it's very hard to say because in each case it's different. Because for me, I did have some problems at the start of school sometimes because I pronounced the words slightly different, but there wouldn't be anything major. While personally, my bigger problems that I've had would be outside of school. So it'd be a person I may not ever see again, or I'm going to play football with strangers and one of them isn't a very pleasant person. I've never had this constant situation where I'm getting picked on, like where you walk into school and that is the...
So the isolate accident.
Exactly. It wouldn't be the set reason why I'd get picked on at school, for an example. So I'd say if you can stand up for yourself and tell somebody and try and follow the system and just try and get it to stop. Now, obviously, it's easier said than done, and it's very unpleasant, and it would be like to say that it wouldn't be stressful. So it depends on
the situation. Sometimes you have to stand for yourself. Sometimes you have to just ignore it. It depends on the situation.
100%. Like, it doesn't happen to me on a daily basis, so when it happens every so often, I find it rather quite funny because it just shows their intellectual capacity and that,
maybe jealousy or whatever is behind it.
It's just...
It's a negative thing. It's nothing positive for somebody who acts like that. Because anyway, talking about Ireland, this is not very usual behavior for Irish people to be like that. Maybe it's a very complex question to ask you, but you're an intelligent boy. Do you ever felt that you're a product of the globalization?
Oh, that's a very good question. Yeah, I would say, because
now world is more open.
It is, yeah.
We not going to go back too far in the history because you weren't born in communism, but we will make another podcast about this topic, communism, freedom and abstract freedom. But sometimes when you're restricted, you're more free, and when you're free, you're more restricted. But that's a different topic and much wider, and we will discuss it on another podcast. So, in a way, you think that you are kind of part of this
Yeah, absolutely.
globalization, yeah.
And
Or studying with the different students from everywhere. You have a Venezuelan, you have from Spain, you have from all over the
absolutely,
world.
and I feel like it's also good because people get used to other cultures. Like I have also Indian friends, like people from Cambodia.
Mhm.
I know people from all around the world, and we're all in the same country.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you're an immigrant and you come over to another country, obviously the people that are from that country, they find the culture is different, kind of strange, it's different, something they've never seen before. But due to this happening with so many different countries and all happening kind of at the same time, because it's nowadays that you have this large, huge influx of immigrants coming over to Ireland, especially. So I feel like also people are getting used to the other cultures, the languages, and even if you look at my class, sure, over half of them are immigrants as well. So,
but I wouldn't say you're immigrants in your case because you were living here. You were here since you were three months old, because the things that happen and you weren't born here. But anyway, I wouldn't say you're an immigrant. I would say you're how you feel Irish because you grow up here and all the rest. But do you think that, let's see the other prospect of this, do you think that, okay, maybe foreign children or children with parents from with foreign origin feel the racism, but do you not think that some children, I won't mention names, even though it crossed my mind, from some particular countries, they disrespect the language here, disrespect the culture, and kind of take advantage what the state give, but it's a one-way process. What I get, but I'm not integrating. I don't care.
absolutely, I think that's an issue as well. Because I feel like if you're willing to go to a country like you and my mother have over 20 years ago, you came in with the mindset of I'm going to work, I'm going to be a part of this community, I'm going to help out the country as they're helping me out. And I think that's the correct way to do it, because sometimes people go over to another place, another country, and they try and take advantage of it. They try to take as much for themselves, and they don't contribute back by working. They don't contribute by developing themselves, by being a well-rounded citizen.
Or integrate, adapt.
Exactly.
And respect, because adoption is also, it's showing respect, because for example, I personally can talk about that I have huge respect for Irish culture. In a way, I feel Irish as well, and it's this closing community. One advisor told me years ago, not me, on the television, he was saying that some people try to create, say, Jamaica in United States, or Mexico in United States, but I mean, it is hard, and it's a not natural process, I think, to try to distinguish yourself and try to separate from the rest of the community. I think it's much easier and much nicer and smoother if you adapt the culture, you respect the culture and the people you're living with. Like, for example, to me, they said, your mom said to me, everything in Ireland goes very well with you. And you know what is my answer? Because I love this country and I love the people and the culture here. And that's why the country and the people love me. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. But, well, I know for myself that I think I'm right, what I'm thinking. I don't know if the other people will share that thought. But, so you definitely will say that some children, maybe because their parents as well don't want to kind of adapt and also integrate, that has impact on them as well. And they are kind of keep the distance between the local culture and...
Yeah, no, but I think that is the correct way, because if you're going to live and it doesn't matter, not this country, if you're going to move to another country, another place in general, it's not a question of do you want to. It's not a question. It's you have to, because now you're in their place, in their land, with their cultures and their understandings, and it's only fair that you follow them and understand them, and that you can always. I'm not saying that you have to, for an example, feel Irish when you come over here. No, well, you don't have to distance yourself from your culture, but you can't distance yourself from the country that you live in too much as well, because that's the country that's giving you the opportunity that you have to develop yourself here.
Well, after all saying this, you and me, I would say, I must say that I have a lot of friends not from Ireland, from different countries, from Europe and outside of Europe, South America, Asia. But so you definitely think that maybe with some teenagers, maybe they keep the distance and look at down the culture because the parents are like that and they inherit from them this kind of approach. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's very possible. I definitely think it is. But I've never really had a situation that's personally happened to me where the child distanced itself, or a friend of mine that's around my age distanced itself because of its parents. Because some of my friends have only come to Ireland in the past few years, and some of them are half Irish, half from whichever country. So, no, me personally, I think that's because of my experiences. I haven't met anybody that's so that's mainly the sole reason on why that happens. For me, it's down to the person, I think.
Okay, and you got more or less answered this question, but still I want you to get the full answer of it. Do you think when it's, doesn't matter which problem occurred, would you think that more you're thinking and approaching the problem as Irish or as a Bulgarian?
I'd say most of the time I'd be a little more leaning to the Irish side, because I just see it as, even at home when you and mother, you're always having those conversations and they're a little intense. But I look at it from my own perspective. I'd be sitting on the couch and I'd look at it and I go, well, it's not really that big of a deal. Yeah, it's something that has to be done, but you're giving it too much attention, too much energy. Obviously, I don't think you should be too laid back, but that's not, as I said before.
You have to find a balance.
Exactly.
Maybe the Irish way is more to find a balance.
Absolutely.
So we all, who feels Bulgarian, or like me, I feel a bit, a lot Irish, but still learning to make this balance, because sometimes I'm too tense, too worried about things, and I'm jealous in a good way about Irish people. They're more laid back, and that we have to, to find the healthy balance. Not too laid back, but not too worried and take everything with tension and. And here's a bit mad question, and even the word mad is in the question. Who do you think they are more mad, the Irish or the Bulgarians?
Well,
or they're a different type of madness?
They're definitely a different type of madness. You're mad.
Oh, well, thank you.
I think it's a totally different type of madness. I've met a lot of people in Bulgaria that are just mental, and I include you in that list as well. And I've also met a lot of Irish people that have their own way of being in their
madness.
Exactly. And the thing is, when I communicate to Irish people and I go mad or I'm frustrated about something, they say, "Oh, Kubi, you look angry, or you look different." They go, "You're displaying the same emotion that we would in this situation, but it's different." So I feel like even naturally when I do it, I still do it in a different manner. So it's definitely two different types of madness. From one end of the Europe to the other.
Of course, every madness, like everything else in life, has a positive and negative side. Some madness is funny, some madness is dangerous and not acceptable and not advisable. But okay. Do you see I don't like to ask people, are you going to do it? That never going to do it. That's never say never because it happens in the end. But do you ever consider yourself, seeing yourself living in Bulgaria, even if you have opportunity?
No. No, I've even said it before. I have friends, Irish friends or friends in general that just want to emigrate instantly. They graduate, do their leaving cert, and they want to be out of this country.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter where they're from, Irish, or wherever. Some just want to leave, but
You're like me, you don't want to leave.
no,
You want to stay in Ireland.
my consciousness is most calm when I'm in Ireland. I love being in Bulgaria, but I don't feel at home when I'm in Bulgaria. I feel the best when I'm in Ireland, and I've
But
said
peace and tranquility, it's
much
this-
more valuable.
It's than anything else, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I feel like that's what makes a home, because without that tranquil feeling and without being stressed and it's just different. It's when I spend 2-3 weeks in Bulgaria going visiting family, it's always a pleasure, but when I lay on the couch or when I'm about to go to sleep, it doesn't feel the same when I'm in Ireland.
Well, thank you very much for your honest questions, and it was really pleasure to talk to my son and co-host. I hope we were kind of useful, and I'm sure many children will be feeling the same way like Kubi, and if they don't, that's okay. But just I want to say in the end of this podcast that you're valuable, you're important, and whatever you feel, that's okay. And I hope that Kubi, with his own experience, kind of help you to cope easier with the situation, and that you're not alone. There is many like you. Thank you very much again watching Caught in Emotion with me, Javor Ivanov, and Kubrat Ivanov, or Aslo and Kubi.